true happiness comes not from outside, but from within. Have you ever found yourself chasing after happiness, thinking that just one more achievement, one more possession, or one more relationship would finally bring you the joy you've been longing for? We all do it. We strive for more money, more success, more approval. We convince ourselves that happiness lies just around the corner, waiting for us once we have it all. But, what if I told you that the real answer, the real key to happiness, isn't found out there in the world, but within you? The truth is, the search for happiness that we often embark on is one of the most universal quests in life. From the moment we take our first steps, we're taught to chase it, to reach for it like a distant star. It feels as though happiness is something that exists outside of us, a goal to be attained, a prize to be won. But no matter how hard we chase it, it always seems to slip away. What if the very act of searching for happiness, in the way we've been taught, is what keeps it just out of reach? Buddhism, an ancient wisdom that has guided millions, offers us a radical shift in perspective. It teaches us that the search for happiness, as we understand it in the modern world, is a misunderstanding. The pursuit of external goals, like wealth, recognition, or status, may bring fleeting pleasure, but they cannot offer us true peace. In fact, these pursuits often lead to greater dissatisfaction. So, what if I told you that happiness is not something to be pursued, but something to be cultivated within? What if true happiness doesn't depend on the world around us at all, but on the way we experience it? In this video, we're going to dive deep into one of the most powerful teachings of Buddhism. Happiness comes not from outside, but from within. But before we go any further, I want you to pause and reflect for a moment. Take a deep breath, and ask yourself this question: what if I could find peace and joy, not by looking outward, but by looking inward? I know, it sounds almost too simple, too good to be true. But I promise you, this is where the journey begins. Let's take a closer look at what it really means to search for happiness, and more importantly, what it means to find it. Are you ready to explore this path with me? If so, let's dive in, as we begin to uncover the truth behind the illusion of external happiness. As we continue our exploration of happiness, let's pause for a moment and ask ourselves a crucial question: what are we really searching for when we chase after external achievements? When we acquire that new car, land that promotion, or find the perfect relationship, is it truly the object itself that we crave? Or is it the feeling that comes with it? We often think, once I have this, then I'll be happy. It's a familiar thought. It's so ingrained in our culture, our lives, that it feels almost instinctual. But Buddhism invites us to look deeper and consider something profoundly different. External sources of happiness are, at best, fleeting. And at worst, they can be nothing more than illusions, distractions that keep us trapped in a cycle of longing and dissatisfaction. Take a moment and think about it. We've all experienced that rush of excitement when we get something new. Maybe it was that shiny gadget you just had to have, or a new piece of clothing you couldn't resist. The happiness it brought was real, but how long did it last? A few hours. A few days. Maybe weeks. But eventually, the novelty fades, the excitement dies down, and we find ourselves searching for the next thing that promises happiness. And in the midst of this cycle, we're left with an uncomfortable truth: the things we believed would bring us happiness don't bring us lasting fulfillment. Take the story of someone you may know, or maybe even yourself. Think about a time when you chased after something external, a promotion, a new home, a dream vacation. At first, it felt like a dream come true. But soon after, the initial excitement faded. Perhaps you started looking for the next big thing, or found yourself feeling just as stressed or unsatisfied as before. This is because, as Buddha taught, attachment to external things is the root of suffering. Our desires pull us in every direction, creating an endless pursuit for more things, more recognition, more comfort. But what we fail to realize is that nothing external can give us lasting peace. Buddhism teaches us that the reason why we can never find lasting happiness in external sources is because they are impermanent. Every material possession, every achievement, every relationship, they change. They wear out. People come and go. External sources of happiness are temporary, and as they change, so does our sense of fulfillment. Consider this: when we cling to something, we create attachment. And attachment is what keeps us bound to the cycle of craving and dissatisfaction. The more we try to hold on to things, the more tightly we grasp, the more we create suffering for ourselves. It's like trying to hold water in our hands. No matter how hard we try, it slips through our fingers. But here's the good news: if happiness isn't found in external things, then maybe we've been looking in the wrong place all along. In the next chapter, we'll explore how we can shift our focus. True happiness is found not in what we acquire, but in what we already have, within ourselves. So, let's begin to consider a radical idea. What if happiness isn't about getting more? What if it's about looking less outside and more inside? This brings us to a deeper question: what is the real source of our happiness? How can we tap into that deep, unshakable sense of joy that's not dependent on the ever-changing world around us? Let's take a closer look at this, and begin our journey toward understanding the mind, the true creator of both happiness and suffering. Now that we've seen how external sources of happiness are impermanent and fleeting, let's turn our attention inward. If happiness doesn't come from the outside world, then where does it come from? The answer, my friends, lies within the mind. In Buddhist philosophy, the mind is seen as the root of both our greatest joys and our deepest sufferings. Think about it for a moment. When you feel happiness, where does it come from? And when you feel sadness or frustration, where does that arise? It doesn't come from the things around you. It comes from how you perceive and interact with those things in your mind. Our minds are incredibly powerful. They are the lens through which we experience everything in life. What you see, how you feel, and how you react to the world, all of it is shaped by the mind. But here's the paradox: while the mind has the potential to create true happiness, it can also create profound suffering. Let's break this down with a simple example. Imagine you're having a conversation with a friend. If they say something nice to you, your mind may respond with happiness or appreciation. On the other hand, if they say something hurtful, your mind may spiral into anger, resentment, or sadness. The words they said may be the same, but the reaction in your mind, your internal experience, is what determines whether you feel peace or pain. This is the key insight that Buddhism offers: the mind shapes everything. It's not the world around us that causes us to feel good or bad, it's the way we interpret and react to that world. Our thoughts, beliefs, and perceptions are what create our experience of happiness or suffering. Let's take this further. Have you ever heard the phrase, happiness is a choice? It might sound cliché, but it holds deep truth. You see, while we can't always control what happens to us externally, we do have control over how we respond to those experiences. We choose the thoughts we focus on. We choose whether to react with patience or with frustration. And by practicing mindfulness, by paying attention to our thoughts without judgment, we begin to understand how much power we truly have. Consider a moment in your life when you faced a challenge. Perhaps you lost a job or went through a difficult breakup. Two people could experience the same event, but their responses could be radically different. One person may see it as the end of the world, allowing their mind to fill with despair and hopelessness. Another person may see it as an opportunity for growth, taking it as a lesson in resilience and self-awareness. Both reactions arise from the mind, not from the external event itself. This is the crux of Buddhist wisdom. We are not slaves to our circumstances. We are the creators of our own happiness or suffering. Our minds, when untamed, can create illusions that trap us in cycles of stress, anxiety, and desire. But when we cultivate awareness, mindfulness, and wisdom, we gain the ability to transform our inner world, and, by extension, our outer experience. Imagine what it would feel like to experience life from this perspective, knowing that your happiness isn't dependent on anything outside of you. It's not reliant on how much you own, how much you achieve, or how others treat you. Instead, it's rooted in how you choose to see and respond to the world. This kind of happiness is unshakable, because it's grounded in your own awareness and understanding of the mind. But to tap into this power, we must first understand the nature of the mind more deeply. We must recognize that our thoughts are not permanent. They come and go, just like the weather. Our emotions rise and fall like waves in the ocean. And just as the sky remains unchanged no matter the weather, our true nature, our inner peace, remains unaltered by the fluctuations of the mind. So, how do we begin to cultivate this inner peace? How do we stop letting the mind run wild, creating suffering where there could be joy? The answer lies in the practice of mindfulness, which we will explore in the next chapter. Mindfulness is the art of observing our thoughts without getting caught up in them. It's about creating space between stimulus and reaction, and in that space, finding peace. Now that we've begun to understand the nature of the mind, let's turn our focus to how we can train our minds to bring us the happiness we seek. How can we use mindfulness to create an inner sanctuary, no matter what's happening around us? Now that we've seen how the mind shapes our experience of happiness and suffering, let's explore one of the most fundamental teachings in Buddhism, impermanence, or anicca in Pali. Impermanence is the truth that everything in life is constantly changing. Nothing stays the same. Nothing lasts forever. From the rising and setting of the sun to the seasons changing, to the thoughts that pass through our minds, all things are in a constant state of flux. Nothing is permanent. At first, this might sound like a harsh reality. We want things to last, don't we? We want happiness, love, and success to stay with us forever. But here's the profound insight that Buddhism offers: by understanding and embracing impermanence, we can free ourselves from suffering. It's not the change itself that causes us pain, but our resistance to it. Think about a time when you've experienced a loss or change in your life. Maybe it was a relationship that ended, a job you lost, or a phase of life that came to an end. If you're like most people, you probably felt sadness, frustration, or fear in those moments. This is natural. We have a deep attachment to things staying the same. We fear change because we think it means losing something that we love, but here's the paradox: the more we try to hold on to things, the more tightly we grip onto them, the more we suffer when they inevitably change. Imagine trying to hold on to a sandcastle at the beach. You spend hours building it, crafting it carefully. You want it to last forever. But the tide is rising, and no matter how hard you try to keep it in place, the waves will eventually wash it away. The sandcastle wasn't meant to stay. It's part of the ebb and flow of nature. In the same way, everything in our lives is impermanent. Our bodies change, our relationships change, even our thoughts and emotions change. Nothing stays the same, and that's the beauty of life. The key to living peacefully is learning to let go and accept that change is the nature of existence. When we can fully embrace impermanence, we stop clinging to things as though they will last forever. This is where true freedom lies. We stop attaching our happiness to temporary things. We realize that just because something good is happening now, it doesn't mean it will last forever. And likewise, just because something difficult is happening, it doesn't mean it will last forever either. Everything passes. This is the essence of impermanence. The Buddha taught that attachment, or craving, is one of the root causes of suffering. We crave things because we fear losing them. But when we understand that everything is temporary, we can begin to let go of that craving. Instead of grasping and clinging to things, we can learn to appreciate them as they are, in the moment, without worrying about what the future holds. This doesn't mean that we should stop caring about things or people. It simply means that we should stop treating them as if they are permanent. Relationships are precious, but they too will change. Our careers, our possessions, our health, all of these things are fleeting. So, we must enjoy them while we have them, and when they change, we can accept that change without fear. In the Buddhist practice of mindfulness, we learn to witness life as it is, constantly changing, constantly unfolding, without trying to hold on to it. We learn to be fully present in the moment, not attached to the past or the future. This is the practice of living with equanimity, with a balanced and peaceful mind, no matter what life throws our way. Imagine what it would feel like if you no longer feared change. What if you could experience joy and peace, knowing that nothing lasts forever, not the good, and not the bad? You would be free. Free from the grip of attachment, free from the fear of loss, and free to embrace life as it comes, without resistance. Now that we've explored the power of impermanence, it's time to look at one of the most transformative practices that can help us embrace the ever-changing nature of life: mindfulness. Mindfulness is more than just a buzzword, it's the art of being fully present and aware in each moment. It's the practice of observing our thoughts, feelings, and sensations without judgment. It's about waking up to life as it is, without getting lost in distractions or stories. In Buddhism, mindfulness is considered one of the most important tools for cultivating peace, joy, and insight. The Buddha himself taught that the path to true happiness begins with awareness, being aware of our thoughts, our actions, and the world around us. The more aware we become, the more we begin to see things as they really are, not through the lens of our desires, fears, or attachments, but simply as they are in the present moment. But let's pause here for a moment. What does it actually mean to be present? We all hear about living in the now, but what does that truly entail? Being present means that instead of constantly being lost in thoughts about the past or future, we're focused on what's happening right now. It means paying full attention to our breath, to the sensations in our body, and to the environment around us. It's about tuning into the richness of the moment, without getting caught up in judgments, worries, or regrets. For example, the next time you take a walk, try this simple practice. Instead of rushing or letting your mind wander, focus on each step. Feel the ground beneath your feet. Notice the sounds of nature. Pay attention to the air on your skin. Stay with your breath as you inhale and exhale. In that moment, you are fully present, aware of the world around you and the world within you. This is mindfulness in action. Now, mindfulness is not always easy. We live in a world filled with distractions, from our phones to our responsibilities, to the constant noise of everyday life. Our minds are often racing, thinking about everything from what we had for breakfast to what we need to do tomorrow. It's easy to get swept away in these thoughts and lose touch with the present moment, but here's the key: mindfulness is a practice, not a destination. It takes time, patience, and consistency. Like any skill, the more we practice mindfulness, the better we become at it. And over time, we begin to train our minds to be more present, more aware, and more at peace. In fact, when we practice mindfulness, we start to notice something incredible. We become more in tune with the impermanence of life. We begin to see that everything is constantly shifting and changing. And instead of feeling overwhelmed or fearful, we learn to appreciate the beauty of this change. We begin to understand that, just as we can't hold on to the good moments forever, we also don't have to fear the bad moments. They, too, will pass. By practicing mindfulness, we also develop a sense of clarity. When we are fully present, we can observe our thoughts and emotions without getting caught up in them. We see them for what they are: temporary, fleeting, and not necessarily the truth. We start to recognize that our thoughts are not permanent. They come and go like clouds in the sky, and we don't have to be attached to them. Imagine how freeing it would be to experience life without constantly reacting to every thought or emotion. Instead of letting your mind dictate your experience, you could simply observe your thoughts with a sense of detachment and calm. This is the power of mindfulness. It gives us the ability to choose how we respond to life, rather than being controlled by our reactions. But let's take this one step further. Mindfulness doesn't just apply to quiet moments of reflection. It's about bringing awareness to everything you do, all day long. Whether you're washing the dishes, driving, or having a conversation, you can practice mindfulness. You can bring your full attention to whatever task is in front of you. Without being distracted by the past or the future, This is where mindfulness becomes a life-changing tool. It's not just about sitting quietly in meditation. It's about infusing every moment with awareness. When you live with mindfulness, you start to live fully. You stop rushing through life, missing out on the beauty of the present moment. You start to find joy in the ordinary, in the simple, and in the everyday. But, like any meaningful practice, mindfulness requires effort. It requires the willingness to slow down, to be still, and to observe your thoughts without judgment. It's not always easy, especially in a world that constantly demands our attention. But the rewards are worth it. As we continue this journey, I invite you to reflect on this question: how can you bring more mindfulness into your daily life? As we continue our journey toward deeper happiness, let's explore a concept that may seem simple, yet holds the key to releasing so much of the pain we often carry: acceptance. In Buddhism, acceptance is not about resignation or giving up. It's not about passively allowing life to unfold without care. Rather, it's the practice of acknowledging things as they are, without resistance, without trying to control or change them. It's the opposite of fighting against life's natural flow. Acceptance is about embracing the present moment, exactly as it is, without judgment, without fear, and without the need to cling or push away. Now, you might be asking, what does this really mean? How can I accept things that cause me pain or discomfort? Doesn't acceptance just mean I have to endure suffering passively? The truth is, acceptance doesn't mean you like everything that happens. It doesn't mean that we welcome pain or injustice. It means that we stop resisting reality and the present moment. We stop fighting against what is happening right now. Because, when we resist, we only add to our suffering. For example, think about a time when you've been stuck in traffic. You might feel frustration building up. You want to get to your destination. You're angry at the delay. Now, imagine that instead of resisting the situation, you simply accepted it. This is where I am right now. You stop fighting against it and, instead, you allow yourself to breathe and relax, knowing that nothing you do can change the situation in that moment. In doing so, you free yourself from the suffering that comes from resisting reality. You stop adding layers of frustration and anxiety on top of the already uncomfortable situation. And here's the beautiful part: once you accept something, you open the space for clarity, peace, and even transformation. It's like holding onto a rock while swimming in a river. The more you hold on, the more exhausted you become, fighting the current. But if you let go of the rock and surrender to the flow, the river will carry you, gently, to your destination. Acceptance is about surrendering the need to control and allowing life to unfold in its own time. Buddhism teaches that much of our suffering comes from craving and aversion. We either crave things we desire, or we resist things we fear or dislike. When we crave something, we attach ourselves to the idea that we need it in order to be happy. When we resist something, we're telling ourselves that life isn't supposed to be this way, and we end up fighting against the very flow of life. But here's the secret: the more we resist, the more we suffer. When we stop resisting, we open ourselves up to the possibility of peace. Let's dive a bit deeper into this. Take a moment and think about a situation in your life that you've been resisting. Maybe it's a difficult emotion, like sadness or anger. Or maybe it's a life situation, like an illness, a job change, or a relationship issue. Whatever it may be, think about how much energy you've spent resisting it, wishing it were different, wishing you could control it. Now, imagine what it might feel like to release that resistance. To stop struggling against it. What if you could simply accept it, just as it is, without judgment? What if, instead of saying, "This shouldn't be happening," you said, "This is happening, and I am here with it"? Acceptance doesn't mean you have to like what's happening, but it means that you choose to stop fighting with reality. It means you stop labeling your experience as good or bad and simply allow it to be what it is. And in doing so, you create space for healing, for growth, and for peace. You see, life will continue to present us with challenges. Things will not always go the way we want. People will disappoint us. Our bodies will age. We will face loss. But when we practice acceptance, we stop giving these experiences the power to control our happiness. We realize that we don't need to change the external world to find peace. Instead, we change our relationship with the world. We learn to accept what is, with compassion, and to let go of the need to resist. In fact, acceptance is one of the most profound ways we can cultivate true inner freedom. When we stop fighting, we stop suffering. When we let go of the need to control, we become free to experience life as it unfolds, with all its joy, pain, and everything in between. Life becomes a journey, not a battle. Now, don't mistake this for passivity. Acceptance isn't about doing nothing. It's about doing things with awareness, with intention, and with an open heart. It's about responding to life with wisdom and grace, rather than reacting out of fear or frustration. As we reach the final chapter of our journey together, let's take a moment to reflect on all we've learned. We've explored the truth that happiness doesn't come from external possessions or circumstances, but rather from within. We've discovered the power of mindfulness, the peace that comes from acceptance, and the freedom we can achieve when we release our resistance to life. In these teachings, we find a profound truth. True happiness is not something that we search for outside of ourselves, but rather something we cultivate from within. To sum up what we've learned, let's revisit the core principles that can guide us towards lasting happiness. The power of mindfulness. Being fully present in each moment allows us to connect deeply with life. Mindfulness helps us to let go of the past and future, and to live fully in the present. The more we practice mindfulness, the more we unlock peace, clarity, and joy in even the most mundane moments. The art of acceptance. Acceptance is not about giving up, but about letting go of resistance to the present moment. When we stop fighting against life, we stop adding unnecessary suffering. By accepting what is, we open ourselves to the possibility of peace and healing. Acceptance allows us to embrace life's impermanence, finding beauty even in its fleeting nature. Compassion. As we develop acceptance, we also cultivate compassion, for ourselves and for others. Compassion isn't just a feeling, it's a practice. It's the act of opening our hearts, of extending kindness and understanding, especially when life feels difficult. When we approach ourselves and others with compassion, we heal wounds, build meaningful connections, and experience a sense of profound peace. Now, it's important to remember that happiness is not a destination, it's a journey. It's not something that magically happens when everything in life aligns perfectly. True happiness comes from the inner transformation that we undergo as we cultivate mindfulness, acceptance, and compassion. This journey will not always be easy. Life will continue to present us with challenges, and we will continue to face moments of suffering. But the difference is, when we walk this path, we do so with awareness, understanding, and peace. We don't get lost in the ups and downs. Instead, we learn to navigate life with grace and balance. Remember, the key is not to search for happiness as if it's somewhere out there waiting to be found. It's about recognizing that happiness is already within you. You have the power to cultivate it, moment by moment, through the way you relate to yourself, to others, and to the world around you. So, as we conclude this journey together, I invite you to reflect on one question. What is one small step you can take today to begin cultivating more happiness from within? Before we end, I want to thank you for being part of this journey. I truly hope that the insights shared today have brought you closer to understanding the deep truth that happiness is an inner experience, not something that depends on external circumstances. If you found this video helpful, I encourage you to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on more videos filled with insights on Buddhist teachings, mindfulness, and how to live a peaceful, fulfilling life. Also, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear how you plan to bring mindfulness, acceptance, and compassion into your life. Let's keep this conversation going and create a community of support and wisdom. And remember, true happiness is within you. You just have to cultivate it, moment by moment, with awareness, acceptance, and love. thank you for joining me today. May you walk this path with peace and wisdom, and may your heart be filled with true happiness. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Join our community for more insights on living a peaceful, mindful life.